You ever walk into a place and just know from the second you step through the door that the rules of decency don't mean much there? Yeah, that happened. That night, the plate hit the floor so hard it sent food flying, and nobody moved, not even me. I stood right between a shivering old man and the guy who'd just humiliated him, my apron pulled tight like it could somehow block out the sting. The rain outside sounded like a freight train, and the only thing heavier than the weather was the way everyone else looked away, pretending this wasn't happening right in front of them. Let me back up a sec, because this kind of story, it doesn't start in the middle of a rainstorm. It starts in the everyday, in the lives we think nobody notices. My name's Clara James, and in Ridgefield, Kentucky, most folks only knew me as the girl behind the counter at Billy's Diner. I wore my brown apron like armor. 32, single, fading into the background, was a survival skill more than a personality trait around here. The factory was long closed, jobs were a rumor, and paint peeled from the windows like a slow confession that hope left town years ago. I just kept my head down, opened up before dawn, closed after midnight, carried tips in my pocket, and groceries home in the rain. Why'd I do it? For a one-eyed cat named Smokey, a shoebox full of my granddad's war medals, and a promise I made to keep going no matter how many times life tried to knock me over. My granddad, Henry James, he was a Korean War vet, and if he taught me anything, it was this: honor isn't loud, Clara. It's sweeping the porch before company comes, even if nobody shows up. When he died, I didn't cry much. I just worked harder, hid the cracks, paid the rent until the night my roommate bailed, and I found myself with nothing but a stack of overdue bills and a cat who'd seen better days. Now, my new home was a shoebox above a garage, with one working outlet, a bathroom that screamed bloody murder every time you turn on the faucet, and about $64 in my savings account, give or take a quarter. But every morning, I walked to work. I smiled for the regulars, even the ones who tipped in change, and brought home scraps for Smokey whenever I could sneak them. People liked to say I was a quiet girl, but what they really meant was I didn't ask for anything, didn't cause trouble. Didn't matter that the world never gave me much, just meant I learned to see the ones who were hurting, even if nobody else did. Like that rainy night, when the door creaked open and a man came in who looked like he'd fought every storm God ever sent. Soaked straight through, coat tattered, a faded army insignia hanging on for dear life. His hands shook when he pulled off his cap. He moved like his own bones didn't want to carry him anymore. He didn't ask for much, just hot water and maybe a crust of bread. You know what I mean? The kind of ask that stings more than it helps. I thought of my granddad then, how he once told me about a stranger who saved him in Busan, 1952, with nothing but kindness and a bowl of soup. So I found a returned order chicken and dumplings nobody wanted and gave it to the man, threw in some bread and coffee like it was nothing, though I knew the cost would come out of my own tips. When he said, "You remind me of my wife, she used to say, everyone deserves warmth," I had to swallow hard just to keep the tears down. But the owner saw us, and suddenly the whole place changed. Wayne Becker's voice was like a hammer, loud enough to make everyone flinch, but nobody brave enough to speak. "This ain't a charity, Clara. I told you before, if people see us feeding street trash for free, they'll think we're a soup kitchen." I try to stay steady. "Take out of my tips." He slammed the counter, made sure everyone heard him fire me on the spot. "Get out." Just like that. You ever stand in a room and realize you're the only one who cares what's right? That was me. Emptied my apron, stepped out into the rain, feeling every eye in the place glance my way, then slide right off like I didn't exist. No one thanked me. No one said a word. The world just kept on spinning. Outside, I waited under the awning, heart hammering, soaking wet but too proud to cry. That's when the old veteran came limping back out of the alley, pressing his battered dog tag into my hand. "You saved a soul tonight, child." Reminded me I wasn't invisible. Then he was gone again, swallowed up by the night. That night, I sat in my tiny room, cat curled up at my hip, wet clothes steaming over the radiator, and checked my phone, just enough left in my account for another week, maybe less. But for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel defeated. I felt right. You know, like maybe it mattered, even if nobody noticed. The next morning, I learned that someone had noticed. Turns out, a teenager caught the whole thing on video, posted it online. By lunch, it It had gone viral, though not the way I'd hoped. Comments were brutal. Rules are rules, they said. Maybe she's been stealing. Old coworkers unfriended me. Some called me a troublemaker, always trying to be the hero. I applied to 3 other diners that day. One said, "We can't risk the attention, honey." Another didn't even let me finish my application. By sundown, I was wandering downtown with nothing but that dog tag in my pocket. Saw Eli Turner, told me his name, now sleeping beneath a plastic sheet at the bus shelter, curled around a paper bag. I left him half my sandwich, whispered thanks, then walked away, not knowing that somewhere down the block, a black SUV was pulling up, a man in uniform watching, making a call. The rain finally stopped before dawn, and something hung in the air besides the smell of wet pavement anticipation, maybe. By 6:45, the town woke to the rumble of black SUVs and a column of soldiers lined up outside Billy's diner. Not just any soldiers' army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. They stood in perfect silence, forming a corridor down the block. Even in Ridgefield, where nothing ever happens, this was something. Inside, Wayne Becker was restocking napkins when a decorated officer strode in, Colonel Matthew Turner, Eli's son. The silence was thunderous as he told the whole diner his father was the man thrown out yesterday. The same man who once saved his unit in Iraq, who'd carried him through hell with shrapnel in his leg and refused help until everyone else was safe. Then he held up a silver star, Eli's, pawned years ago to buy food for a homeless family. The whole town heard how a waitress, not the government, not the community, had given his father what nobody else would, dignity. Cameras rolled, hashtags bloomed, the world watching as Colonel Turner asked, "Where is she?" That's when someone came running for me. The whole block shut down, hundreds of people waiting, and the soldiers saluted not me, but every person who's ever done the right thing when no one else would. Colonel Turner pressed the silver star into my hand. "My father wanted you to have this." I tried to refuse, but he just shook his head. "It's yours now." The fallout came fast. Billy's Diner closed its doors for good. Staff quit. Suppliers canceled. Wayne Becker skipped town. But I didn't gloat, didn't post, didn't say a word. I just went back to work this time, running a community kitchen for veterans, single moms, anyone who needed a hot meal and a little respect. The soldiers who came that day, many became my volunteers. Funny how justice works slow and quiet, like sunrise creeping through old curtains. The diner faded, but something better grew in its place. Laughter, warmth, a kind of family that didn't care if you could pay. Smokey the cat became our unofficial mascot, sitting on the window ledge like a one-eyed general, making sure everyone who came through felt seen. A week after it all went down, a boy walked in, no more than 7 or 8, sandy hair and a serious look, carrying $1 and a cookie. "I saw you in the video," he said. "My grandpa was a soldier. I want to help too." He laid his gift on the counter, and I felt my heart nearly break. I just put my hand over my heart's aim as those soldiers did for me, nodded. No speeches, just one good deed echoing forward. Eli Turner now lives in a VA home. His son visits often. Sometimes other soldiers come just to hear his stories, not about wars, but about quiet courage, the kind it takes to survive in a world that's too busy to care. I visit sometimes, still carry his dog tag, the silver star in a box beside my bed. On hard nights, I remember my granddad's words honor isn't loud. It's in the little things you do when no one's clapping. People will move on. The video will fade. But those who saw it will remember. Not because I stood up, but because I did it when it was hardest, because I gave without asking for anything back. In a country where loneliness is rising and kindness feels old-fashioned, this story isn't just about a waitress or a veteran, it's about all of us, about what we do when no one's looking. So, tell me, have you ever stood up for someone when it mattered most? Have you seen a moment of quiet courage that changed everything, even if nobody clapped? Share your story in the comments. Maybe, just maybe, your story will be the one that makes someone else believe in quiet heroes again. Because out here, sometimes the only thing stronger than the storm is the simple act of doing what's right.